I'm not sure why I look so red in here, but I do. So we'll just live with it. I'm no more sunburned than I was the other day. I had a good couple of days. Lunch with mother-in-law went well. We went to a place called Piper's Tavern, and it's a Scottish kind of, got kind of a Scottish vibe to it. And it was good. It was good. We spent a couple hours, you know, discussing world events. My niece will be getting married in May, and so we were discussing what we're going to wear, what we're going to do, how we're going to go, blah, blah, blah. And this is my mother-in-law's oldest granddaughter, so I think it holds a lot of significance to her. Today was Crochet Club. Fun, as always. We always meet at the Tobacco Wood Tavern in Oxford, North Carolina. And I'm not sure how much crochet would get done, but if laughs would pay money, we would be rich women, let me tell you. And it's so nice because people, it's a real kind of cheers sort of atmosphere, coming and going, and people are always stopping by the table and chatting and talking, and the waitresses come over and chat for a while. And so we have just made some new friends who just talk to us every time they come in, and we recognize them, and it's just a real good vibe. So anyhow, today's video this is late, are the books that I read in March. And actually, looking, I only read, oh, excuse me, not you, oh, it's me. I only read one actual book, and the rest were audiobooks. Call me lazy. But, you know, I listened to audiobooks when I fall asleep, and March was very busy. Very busy. So anyhow, to start off with, the first book was an audiobook. It was called Off Menu, The Secret Science of Food and Dining by Katie Shore. And I think this is an Audible original, but it was really fascinating because it talked about how different companies, like if you walk into a Cinnabon or something like that, their air freshener is cinnamon. So it kind of gives you that vibe and that feel. So you're not necessarily smelling the cinnamon buns per se. You're smelling what they want you to smell to make you feel like you're getting more of an experience. There's several airlines that I think it's the one that goes into Malaysia, and they have actually copyrighted their scent, and it's kind of a tropical thing to kind of get you in the mood that you're going to Malaysia, that you're going to the islands. Skittles, I did not know this. Skittles are actually all taste the same. It's the food perfume that they spray on each Skittle that gives it its taste, so that your nose is doing more work than your mouth is actually on eating the Skittles. And another thing I did not know, this is, consider your mind blown. One thing I learned from this book is that when you go to an ATM machine and you put your card in and you say you want $40, and you hear the machine go, it's a recording. Like, that machine really doesn't make any noise, but they give you that noise to make it feel like you are, that they're actually doing something. So you don't feel a little anxious, you don't feel a little panicked, you know, I just put my card in, where's some money kind of deal. They also went on to talk about lighting and food and different flavors that you can add to or take away to make cheap wine taste good, or vice versa. Just all kinds of tricks of the trade. It's a really interesting book. So that's called Off menu, the secret science of food and dining tells you how to set the plates, what color plates to use for what food. Interesting. Not everybody's cup of tea, but interesting. Okay, the next book I finished was actually a hardback book, and it was called The Baker's Apprentice by Judith Hendrix. And my friend Kathy and my friend Kathy lives in Pennsylvania, but she comes down at least once or twice a year, or I go up there, or we travel somewhere together. And she had given me this book. And I let it sit on the shelf for a long time, and then I just needed something to read, and I'm so glad I did. It's really the story of someone who is a born bread baker, and she passes the things she learns and the things she knows about bread baking to others and helps out. And the person she's in love with is a writer, and he's figuring his own things out, and they try to swap what they've learned, and because they're both at places in their life where they're having to learn something. And I was really glad I read it. The ending was different from what I usually like for endings, but I wasn't offended by it, so I wasn't angry that it ended that way. So and it's got like little recipes, bread recipes on the inside, which I used to bake bread, but I have not in forever, and I'm thinking about maybe doing a loaf or two. I don't know. Chris and I don't eat a lot of bread anymore, but we might if I baked it. The boys ate tons of bread when they were at home. Okay, so the next book was called, and it was by Patty Callahan, and it was called The Wild Swan, and it was also an audiobook, and it was the story of Florence Nightingale, how she really gave up everything. She lived quite a pampered life. Her family expected her to marry into semi-royalty, like a lord or whatever. She was from England, but instead she found her calling when she traveled with some family friends and went to an orphanage in Germany, I believe it was, and decided that there were just too many people out there that she needed to give care for. And she really worked with Queen Victoria to set up a nurse corps and better hospital care and whatnot for the soldiers in England. And it was just really, I admire somebody who is so passionate about something. I can't think of anything I'm that passionate about. I wish I were. I want to be that passionate about something. I mean, there's things I say I'm passionate about, but I'm not really passionate about. So, Wild Swan, great book. The next one was also an audiobook, and it was called The Dollar Rebellion. And it was actually quite an interesting story about Billie Jean King. If you remember, back in the 70s, there was a big match between Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs over whether it was male or female that was the best tennis player. And Billie Jean King, the female, won. At that time, female tennis players were not getting even half of the sponsors or pay that the male tennis players were getting at that time. And so Billie Jean King and several other pro tennis players at the time started what they called the Dollar Rebellion, and they went on to form the Women's Tennis League like we know now. And it was just interesting to hear Billie Jean King talk about all the ins and outs of getting equality and what she had to go through to make women's tennis recognized as male tennis was. It only probably took me a couple of days to listen to it off and on, but it was really interesting. It was part of history that I'm glad that I listened to. So anyhow, those are the only books I have for March. Like I said, March was just a silly busy month for me. I was going for 8 days, and then we also took a vacation to our friend's Found Steve's, and we did. There was a birthday thrown in there someplace. It was insane. So I hope to pick up and be able to read some more in April. Although April's seeming like it's kind of busy too. We go through those periods, like April and May seem to be really busy, then we have a lull, and then October and November it blows up again. I don't know. So anyhow, what's on your reads? Do you recommend anything? Right now for our book club, we're reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. It's not a book I probably would have chosen on my own, but I'm really glad that the person, Joe, actually was just sharing high notes. We all voted, and the majority wanted this book, and none of us can put it down. It's just really, really good. And even us older folks were like, oh my gosh, it's a millennial fiction, blah, blah, blah. But it's awesome. It really, really is awesome. It blends all the elements, and I think it's good. It's a good read. I'm about halfway through right now. So, anyhow, look for an upcoming review of that. And is there anything else I'm going to talk to you about? Oh, I've got a couple homestead questions this week. I'm gonna post about. I think we've got caterpillars. That's what my son used to call caterpillars. Anyhow, I've waffled enough. I will catch you on the next video. Thank you for everybody who has subscribed. Keep it up. Hit the notification. Ring the bell. All the things. And I'll talk to you on the next video.